I've got an unpopular video that I need to make. It's not going to be one that goes viral. It's not going to be one that gets a lot of praise. And it's never my intention to upset or hurt anybody's feelings. Never. But sometimes that happens when you're sharing the truth of God's Word. How many of y'all remember that old song we heard as children? Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. For the Father up above is looking down in love. So be careful, little eyes, what you see. That song goes through, be careful, little ears. Be careful, little mouth, what you say. It goes through and teaches all the biblical principles for God's people. Did you know that the Bible tells us not to set any wicked thing before our eyes? Did you know that? Did you know it even talks about not even listening or hearing when people are talking about the sinful deeds of others? Not to even allow our ears to hear those things. Boy, that's a far stretch different from modern day teachings of most churches today. It almost seems opposite of what most churches teach. Has God's expectations changed for His people? Not at all. I remember back in the 80s, late 80s, my father was made fun of. He was pulled aside by a couple individuals I remember like it was yesterday, because he was telling parents, be careful, just because something says Disney doesn't make it child-friendly and safe for your little ones to watch. Oh man, there was an uproar. There was parents saying, how dare you come against that? That whole company's for children. Everything they do is for children. While their movies of witches and warlocks and spells and conjuring up demons and the dead and putting curses and hexes, almost every daily after school show involved witchcraft or cult worship. And many people were innocent even in letting their kids watch it. You didn't even think teenage Sabrina the Teenage Witch or Witches of Waverly Place or the Fantasia cartoon. You don't even think, oh, this is wicked. It's evil. It's praising Satan. It's teaching kids how to stir potions, how to make spells and conjure up these dark demons of anger and envy and jealousy and getting even with somebody, putting spells on them. Parents weren't thinking that those were actually attacks devised from the enemy against the souls of our children. Unless you have somebody like my father and my mother who made it their goal in life to teach people how to be careful, teach people to push out the things of this world and the things of the enemy and cling to the things of God. Unless you have somebody teaching you those things, cartoons don't seem so vicious or evil, or as if they might have an alternative background imprinting, a mind imprinting, or some nefarious scheme behind it. You wouldn't think that. But can I just, for those of you that are still with me, I've probably lost most people already, but it's probably better that they didn't hear this part. While my dad was called a fanatic for exposing how much witchcraft and occultism was in Disney, can I share with you today that the same thing's going on with children's TV channels like Nickelodeon? When their own logo was designed to imitate the Epstein Island. Oh, Jonathan, you're a fanatic. You're crazy. SpongeBob SquarePants at Bikini Bottom, where his best friend's a beaver. You might think, oh, there can't be anything wrong with SpongeBob. But yet, if you look up what his driver's license shows his address to be, you'll find out that Bikini Bottom, by GPS coordinates, is Epstein's Island. Why would SpongeBob's license on his driver's license address be the mailing address, the home address of Jeffrey Epstein of Epstein Island? Why would Pinocchio cartoon all those years ago talk about Pleasure Island, where the bad little children would be taken to Pleasure Island? Does anybody know what Epstein's Island was named before he purchased it? It was named Epstein. It was named Pleasure Island, where children were taken. Remember in the old Pinocchio where the big guy smoking the cigar had to whisper in the fox's ear the things that were being done to children on this island, and the fox's eyes got that big around. He said, oh no. Can I tell y'all that wicked, evil things have been going on right underneath the noses of believers for years? Parents are trying to figure out, why are my children's behaviors so out of whack, and it's almost as if they're under a spell sometimes when they're stuck on their iPad, stuck on their flat screen TV, and mom and dad says turn it off, and then all of a sudden, like monsters come out of these little tiny beings. Can I just tell somebody today, what you're putting before your children's eyes, you are training them. The Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go, and then when they're old, they won't depart from it. That's if you're training them up in the ways of God, the ways they should go. I'm telling you what, my wife and I just ordered VeggieTales for one of my nephews, baby nephews. If you're having behavior problems in children 0 to 5, can I tell somebody? Start buying Christian content. Start buying VeggieTales. Start buying cartoons that tell the stories of Jesus. Instead of these ones teaching them witchcraft, sorcery, and drumming up spells of vengeance against their friends. And watch and see if their personalities don't start changing, if things start coming back around. Because we're all training ourselves by everything we put in front of our eyes, every music we listen to. I've been called the fanatic for many years for only listening to Christian music. Listen, I don't think there's anything wrong from time to time hearing a song come on, Sweet Home Alabama or whatever, some good old song that there's nothing wrong with those things. But I'm just saying, as a general rule of thumb, I only and always want to feed my soul with the things of God. I only and always want to be imprinting my mind with every good and perfect thing that comes from above. That way, when things in this life might happen, and I may be pressed or I may be put under a new load, what's going to be squeezed out of me is the fruit of God's Spirit, and not the results and the actions of my flesh. Be careful, little eyes, what you see. Little ears, what you hear. Little mouth, what you say. It's important. I love y'all. Keep spreading God's love.